have decided to finally do my first build challenge. With this build challenge, I used a random generator made by James Turner. I'll make sure to link the website down below in the description. This was the first roll that I did. I had to build a craftsman home. I had to have 4 floors. I had to be on a 30 by 30 size lot. There had to be 2 couples living in the house. They love minimalism, which I did have to Google to verify what that counted as. They are afraid of foundation and doors. The door part was a really big struggle, but we made it work. They had to have blue. We had a pretty big budget of 108,427 simoleons, so that part wasn't too bad. So I just picked a 30 by 30 lot in Newcrest here. I wanted to do kind of fun shape, and then I started doing my different floors. I kind of wanted to go a little modern with it, but then I struggled with that, so then I had to redo a lot of stuff. Plus, doing some funky shapes made it really hard to rearrange things when I wanted to, as you can see here. I honestly made this a lot more difficult for myself than I needed to because I started with the funky shape and I just kind of stuck with it. Instead of just trying to do a simple square or a simple rectangle with squares on top of it, I wanted to do something out of the box, and it kind of bit me in the end, but you know, with some trial and error, we did make it work. When I finally got the floors done, I kind of started to map out how I wanted it to look. I know I wanted one of the rooms to have a balcony. Again, this is my first build challenge, so I wasn't the best at what I was trying to do, but I did try to make it work. I wanted to add more than just one roof piece because a house with 4 floors that only has a single roof piece seems a little odd to me. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with that part yet, but I did know I wanted it to be open like that, so I placed some columns down. And then I tried looking for a front door, and since they are afraid of doors, I was trying to find a door that was like kind of open or an archway. So I found this door because it's kind of like completely open and almost looks like a big window. They kind of scoot around the whole they don't like doors. Before I started doing the layout of the house, I wanted to make sure I got the staircases in to access every single floor. And then I started doing the layout, just quick kind of thinking of, okay, here's where a bathroom will be, here's where a bedroom will be. I made sure there was a bathroom on the ground floor as well, so if they have any guests over. So I just added some lights really quickly just to kind of light up the place so I could see what I was doing. And then I started on the bathrooms. So for the bathrooms, I wanted to do the toilet stalls, but one, it didn't work because it was too big. And the other problem with it was technically toilet stalls have doors on them and they're scared of doors, so I backed out of that idea. And then trying to fill up the space just with it being minimalist was really hard too, because I try to fit, when I do my normal builds, I try to fit as much stuff as possible in a room so it looks lived in. But because they love minimalism, it was really hard for me to not just overflow every room with decorations and plants. I did try to make sure I got at least 1 or 2 plants and some paintings on the walls, because if you don't in live mode, Sims will yell about it saying that it's poorly decorated and they'll always be in a bad mood. After getting the ground floor bathroom done, I then quickly just started doing the other bathrooms on the other floors. Since I already had the tags chosen for the minimalism, I decided to use basic and modern for the tags for the style. And then I just tried to fill it in with some plants and some decorations, some blue accents. Then I started doing the kitchen. I know that they had to have blue, so I did some blue counters. Did some white appliances because the blues didn't match. Got some cabinets for them. And that was just some wonky space right there, so I wanted to fill it. So I did some like china cabinets. There weren't a lot of decorations to put on the counters themselves that were blue or fit in with the minimalism. I know normally with minimalism you wouldn't have anything on the counters, but I wanted to put some things just so it looks a little lived in. That trick I did there on the counter, if you use the cheat bb.move objects, you can move all objects by holding down Alt and Alt placing them. And because counters have slots on them, if you want to free place the object onto the counter, you have to move the counter out of the way and kind of guess with the Alt placement and put the counter back. And sometimes it can take a few tries. Well, that's how you do that. Again, the cheat is bb.move objects, and then you hold down Alt while you're moving the object. I did end up changing the colors in the bathroom for the wallpaper and the floors because I wanted the blue to be more of an accent, and then kind of going with the minimalist, just kind of have some light colors or some white wallpapers and flooring. The living room, I didn't want it to be too busy, but I also wanted it to be kind of nice. I was trying to find the right shade of blue. And I really wanted to use this table because it's like an aquarium table and I haven't used it yet. But then I rethought it because they're minimalists. You don't want things too busy, and an aquarium table can be a little busy. So I decided to go with the side table instead. Got some more paintings. I was trying to get the entrance set up, so just like a little kind of table that has where they put their shoes, maybe a bowl for their keys, more plants. And I wanted to fill up this wall, even though, you know, I probably could have just left it blank, but it looked way too empty for me. So I just sized up a painting, which you can do with the bracket keys on your keyboard. And I started working on one of the couple's bedrooms. Again, had to do the blue accents because they love blue. They have to have their blue. It was so difficult for me to restrain myself from adding extra things into this bedroom because it looked so empty to me. All it had was a bed, side tables, a dresser, and a mirror. I wanted to add more things to it because the room itself had space for it, but because of the challenge where they love minimalism, I couldn't add as much as I really wanted to. Then decided to add some railings and some fence to kind of block off the empty spaces from the stairs. I think it doesn't look that great, personally. So this bedroom was a little big, so I decided to add a big closet rather than a dresser. And they just had a big empty space, and since they're makers, I decided to add a music station because you can make tracks and you can mix music with that. I thought it fit. Then the upstairs was I decided it was going to be the maker's room. So I added a vet table because you can make treats with that. I added the candle maker. I added the fizzy juice maker, as well as the woodworking table. I then put a flower arranging table on the top floor balcony, along with some planter boxes, just so you can grow your own flowers there. I fixed the fencing too for the balconies as well. The original fencing that was there was just kind of a placeholder so I could envision what I wanted to do later on. So I ended up replacing it with some blue fencing to go with their love for blue. I decided to give them a side yard too, just kind of fill up some of the space since it is a big lot, and I made the house pretty small. So I added a little table, so that way they can eat outside if they want. Added some lounge chairs. I then also added a recycling machine. Since they're makers, they can get bits and pieces with that. I just realized that I completely forgot a fabricator, which is what you need the bits and pieces for to make things with. So when I show you the house here in a minute, I will have to add that in. Even though this is my first official build challenge, I still have some actual builds on the gallery in The Sims 4 if you want to look those up and check those out. My name on there is kickmepapa. I have a couple houses on there that you might enjoy either using or even playing in, so be sure to check those out. I will upload this onto the gallery as well if you would like to use it too. Now we're just doing some of the final touches, adding some outdoor lights, adjusting the mailbox. So trying to figure out the door situation was a little difficult because they don't like doors, so I had to use archways. Really, their house is completely open. There's no closed doors. But I thought that was a little odd, especially for the bedrooms and the bathrooms. So I tried to fix it by adding some curtains over it just to kind of make it seem like it wasn't a door, but you could still close it off if you wanted to. I thought those blue blinds would be really cool because then thinking about it in live mode, you could retract them when no one's in there and pull them down when someone is in there. But then I tested it and it didn't work. It didn't work. The Sims couldn't walk through it because it was there. So I had to add some different curtains. I also completely forgot to furnish anything on the balcony that was connected to the bedroom. So I just quickly added some chairs and a table. And I would have loved to add even more to it, but again, because of the challenge, I couldn't add as much as I wanted to. So this balcony, I decided to make this a wildflower garden. Since they're makers, I thought that they would like the greenery. So I just added some bushes and some flowers there. And there weren't a lot of landscaping options for it being minimalist. I just used the basic and the modern tags. I used what was available to me that I thought would look okay. Like honestly, with the tags, there were maybe 6 options for it to be considered minimalism, and they were all trees. I wish that there were some bushes or even some flowers. That way I could have added some more decoration and landscaping to the outside, but all I was able to add were a couple trees and those 2 bushes out in the front. Like one of the bushes that was included with the tags that I used were the pea bushes. Am I supposed to decorate with the pea bushes? Because random Sims are just gonna be walking past my house and then pee in my bush. I don't want that. And then I just finished it up with some terrain paint around the edges of the house to make it look like it's been there for a while, along with adding it to the trees and the bushes. Before we get a closer look at the house, I wanted to show you the Sims that were created. I just randomized some Sims. Here we have Heather, who is married to Rita. And then we have Melanie, who is married to Jared. Before I forget, I have to add a fabricator, so I have to figure out where to put that, because I can't believe I forgot that. That's one of the biggest items for makers. Okay, so I decided to move some things around. I put the woodworking table outside with the flower arranging table. And then I placed the fabricator. So here's the home that I made from the build challenge. On the top floor, this is our maker's heaven. You have all the pieces that you could possibly need to make things. Then on the 3rd floor, we have a bathroom and one of the couple's bedrooms. On the 2nd floor, another bathroom, another couple's bedroom. I didn't add any decorations in the hallways because again, they're supposed to love minimalism. And then on the ground floor, we have a bathroom along with the living room, the dining area, and the kitchen. And here's the outside patio with the recycler, the lounge chairs, table. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like. And if you have any suggestions for any other challenges I should try, be sure to comment them down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!